Welcome. My name is Victoria, and this is my lovely puppy Alfie. And we're coming to you from beautiful British Columbia that is in full bloom right now. And I'm here to talk to you about how can we switch from self-judgment to self-compassion. Come with me for a short walk with my puppy. So the other day I was reflecting on what would I tell my 20-year-old self? What kind of wisdom would I want to impart on her? And then I realized I'm not sure that my 20-year-old self would even be able to take those nuggets of wisdom and apply it in her life. She was in a very different place with different resources. And so that made me think how often we go into this place, and including myself, we go into, apologize about my voice, we go into this place of judging our younger self, where we're thinking, what an idiot, what have I was thinking about, and we judge and we experience feelings of shame, anxiety, self-blame come up, and it keeps us stuck. Like that kind of energy of emotion keeps us stuck and keeps us looking at that part of ourselves that has made those decisions as something separate that's to be put down and judged. It also doesn't allow us to see ourselves in full complexity and to recognize the incredible growth that we have achieved, given that we now can make different choices and decisions. So I want to suggest a few steps, a strategy for how you can switch from judging yourself to being self-compassionate, self-understanding. So the first step is, of course, just simply acknowledging that kind of self-judgment happens to all of us at different points in life, and it's totally normal. So the first step is acknowledgement of that. The second step is to notice the kind of thoughts that do arise when you do judge yourself. Are you saying to yourself, I'm stupid, I'm an idiot, I shouldn't have done this, what was I thinking? Notice those thoughts, become aware of them. The third step is to go beyond the cognition, the thinking, and zoom in into the actual emotions that you're experiencing. What are you feeling? Name the feeling: anxiety, anger, frustration. If you are really connected, like I'm angry with my younger self, my 20-year-old self for making those decisions, notice that behind anger, a lot of other vulnerable emotions could be hiding, and really check in with yourself. What else might be there? Is it anxiety? Is it fear? Is it shame? Is it sadness? And name those emotions. Just the simple practice of naming allows us to really decrease the intensity of those emotions. And that helps us to move to the next step. Now, if your emotions are really strong and just naming them has not been enough to kind of regulate them, I do suggest for you to visit my other video that has a somatic self-regulation strategy described in it that you might find helpful. I'll link it down below in the video description. And then the fourth step, right? The first three steps were really about turning towards ourselves and attuning to ourselves. Now the fourth step is actually about creating a bit of an emotional distance with that part of ourselves that has made those decisions we're judging that younger self for. And we can do that through several questions. Now, I have to refer to my handout to actually remember all those questions that I suggest. So forgive me while I look that up. But so the fourth piece is for us to start asking questions to see the younger self through a different lens. So some of the questions that we might ask our younger self would be, how is your younger self different in terms of resources? So what I mean by resources, what I mean by resources is that could be internal resources like emotional regulation skills, but also external resources like the financial stability younger self had. Did they have a job? Did they have a bank account? Did they have financial independence? Did they have housing, right? Those are important ones. So again, what resources did your younger self have or didn't have? What were their supports like? And that can include emotional, financial, social. Did they have parents to turn to? or a good circle of friends at the time of need and in time of stress? Another question is what is the age of your younger self that you're judging? Are you judging your 13-year-old self? Um, that's an important thing to notice. Yes, I'm judging my 13-year-old self. What kind of experience your 13-year-old self? What kind of education and what kind of access to supports your younger self had, right? So really increasing the level of depth of how we're seeing that part of us that we're judging. And then the last one is, did they have emotional regulation skills at that time? Sorry, that's not the last one. It's the one before. And then did they experience any trauma, abuse, or neglect, whether it's in their childhood or later in life? But those are really important aspects to notice. So I'm going to have the list of those questions again in the description. So don't worry about trying to memorize. So that's the fourth step. And as you start to ask yourself these questions, you're going to begin to notice that you're going to start to see that part of you that you're judging in much greater complexity, with much more depth. And it can really help us tap into that feeling of empathy and compassion, and move away from the judgment and the cycle of blame and anxiety. So I hope you can try this practice for yourself and see how it can help you switch from the self-judgment of younger self to self-compassion. And what I mean by younger self, it could be your much younger self, like a child, a teenager, or young adult, but it also could be yourself a month ago, because we all go through really difficult periods in life, and yourself a month ago could have lacked those resources. So it's important to notice the circumstances that your other part was when they were making decisions you're judging yourself for. And a couple of reflection questions that I want to invite you to take away with you to deepen this practice. One is, when have you judged yourself harshly without acknowledging the vulnerability you carried at that time? And the second, what resources do you have now that you didn't have back then? And I will, of course, have those questions in the description below that you can refer to. Now, if you're finding this, some obstacles here, if you're finding this particular approach challenging, if your emotions are really strong, then I want to invite you to connect with a professional, psychologist, a counselor who can walk you alongside of you and help you tap into emotional regulation skills and deepen your sense of connection and self-attunement. All right, that's it for today. It was, as always, wonderful talking to you. If you feel there is value in my video, please share it with your family and friends so we can reach as many people as possible. And I'll come with the next video next weekend for you. It was, as always, wonderful, and have a lovely day. Ciao.